Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'll be talking about extroverted feeling, everyone's favorite cognitive function, and how that function manifests in each of the 8 positions on your cognitive function stack. So the good news is no matter who you are or what type you are, you'll probably be able to identify yourself in one of these 8 manifestations. Okay, so these are actually based on my observations of people who I know in real life, and also, for the most part, people who I've typed. I type a lot of people for my job, so I hope these patterns that I've personally observed will be useful to you. So let us start with dominant extroverted feeling. So these people are emotionally demonstrative, and they tend to be exacting with their intended emotional affect. So whatever emotional effect they wish upon others, they tend to accomplish that skillfully and accurately. They also tend to be active in creating a nice emotional atmosphere or creating any emotional atmosphere. So they're quite active in influencing the emotions of others or the collective group emotions for better or worse. And I feel like that part is really important because of the heavy association of FE with harmony. So yeah, for the most part, it's for better, but if they want to, or if their TI deems it to be logical in that situation, then they can affect the emotional atmosphere for worse. And the other confusing thing about dominant FE is that while it is a conscious cognitive function, it's all prevalent in that it's a dominant function, so it's all-encompassing, and thus it can feel kind of subconscious in that you don't really notice when you're using it because it's just your baseline. And I would also say that for the most part, it's almost too easy, to influence the emotional atmosphere, and thus they're not making this great conscious effort to do it, and thus they might not even feel like they have FE. Okay, moving on to auxiliary position. So this position is kind of interesting. They take conscious effort to skillfully consider and change one's emotional effect upon others. And they can use emotional affect as a tool for ends that are congruent to their own personal observations, that's their SI or NI, and personal logic, their TI. This position is kind of interesting because while you're skilled at using it and you're good at it, it does take conscious effort. You have to break free of your introverted perceiving, judging loop and do the FE. In my experience, this kind of makes the second position liable to this feeling of lost opportunities or lost potential because you know that you're good at using it, but if you don't consciously remind yourself every day to use your natural given talents, I guess, then you won't use it. So you can kind of feel like, oh, I wasted my perfectly capable FE. Okay, moving on to the tertiary position. It's sometimes called the hidden agenda, which I find very interesting and apt. So these people may not always be emotionally demonstrative, but they tend to value positive feedback, a sense of belonging or community, and contributions that benefit humanity as a whole. When they want a certain emotional impact upon others, they tend to be successful at creating it. However, this emotional intention is actually rarely evident to others. And this emotional intention can be various. Like maybe they want you to respect them, maybe they want to inspire you, and maybe they even want to annoy you. So it's a full-on range of emotional impacts that they tend to be quite good at creating. And furthermore, it's not obvious to the receiver of this emotional impact that they're consciously doing it. So I think that's why these people tend to make pretty good salespeople. Alright, moving on to the touchy inferior position. So these people can feel the external emotional atmosphere from what I can gather, but they experience a sometimes frightening inability to know how to create emotional change in others, and sometimes even just know how to emote appropriately in the first place. So this can result in a feeling of social awkwardness or cluelessness. These people may overcompensate for this lack of natural inclination by ritualistically performing a few social protocols that they've internalized. And the interesting thing is they even might get annoyed at other people who fail to follow their social protocol. So yeah, I would say the fourth function is a point of conscious pain that you really try to get better at. And to overcompensate, you might even get annoyed at other people who you perceive to not be sharing your similar effort to become better at FE. Okay, so moving on to the interesting realm of shadow functions. So my personal attitude is that I don't really think you have shadow functions, but based on the positions of your conscious functions, you have a certain attitude towards your shadow functions. Okay, so fifth position FE, also known as the dominant FI users, also known as me. So these people can see and feel the emotional atmosphere in the external, but they tend to neither choose to affect it nor adapt to it, which can lead other people to see them as temperamental or selfish. These people also tend to distrust what they perceive to be emotional affect in others. They tend to perceive that as suspicious or inauthentic. So you can sometimes find that these people, when you're consciously trying to affect their emotions directly, like not through TE, not through like doing some action, but like just directly, like cheer up or like, woo, life is awesome. You can see that sometimes they like go deeper into their introverted bubble. Now moving on to the sixth slot are people with auxiliary FI. So these people can also see the external emotional atmosphere, but instead of being repelled by it, they can often use this information to their benefit, whether that's to fit in or be more likable or even to sell a product. So other people tend to see these people as quite charming and adaptive individuals. They can be quite adept at influencing the emotional atmosphere through a combination of other kind of functions, namely FI and TE, but ultimately I'd say they tend to prioritize their own emotional experience. Seventh position are people with tertiary FI. Oh boy, do I have some stories about the FE blind people that I'll save for another time. Okay, so these people do not notice the emotional atmosphere and tend to not see their emotional effect upon others until they're being told so directly in plain language. So if they've offended you, they probably will not know it until you tell them, hey, you've offended me. They tend to be slower at internalizing social norms for the sake of collective feeling, like greetings and events like birthday parties, which may lead to occasional social blunders. So all of these things combined may lead other people to see them as aloof or even harsh. Okay, moving on to the eighth slot, people with inferior FI. So this one's kind of interesting. They also do not notice the external emotional atmosphere, but they often seem to kind of make up for it through their active use of external reason. So perhaps this prompts them to influence others through advice and direct assistance. Often direct assistance is like, here, I'll just do that for you. And this may lead other people to see them as helpful or even kind. So I think that's why sometimes people think that you're actually using your eighth function. And I do sometimes see TE dominance being mistyped as FE dominance for that reason. These people tend to not participate directly in the emotional atmosphere, but they accept this phenomenon as yet another externally evident fact. So unlike the blind spot, they kind of see it. They don't see the emotional atmosphere, but they do see that other people see the emotional atmosphere. And unlike the fifth function, FE, they don't have like a negative or positive reaction to it. They're just kind of neutral. Like, it's just one of those things. Alright, that is all. I hope this video was helpful. I will make videos on the other 7 kind of functions manifesting in the 8 function positions. If you guys want some more information on the kind of functions, be sure to visit my website, kindof8.com, where you can also get typed if you choose to. And as always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Also, sorry for the sudden drop of quality. It's been just really hard to adapt since Alex left. This is really silly, but the formality of setting up a camera and just sitting in front of a bright light is very draining for me. It was draining for Alex too, but I think it was like a little bit better when we were there together. So anyway, the quality will come back. Just please give me some time to adjust to being a one-person show instead of a two-person show.